Dear wife, I want to start by saying something I need you to really hear. And the first thing is this: you're not a bad wife. Secondly, you're not a mean person. And thirdly, you're not trying to destroy your marriage. How do I know that? Well, for more reasons than one, of which I'm going to share with you in this video. Now, if you are a husband watching this, and I have something to say to you as well. I need for you to stick around for another minute or so. It's important that you do. Okay. So, continuing, I want to say this to you, dear wife. I would imagine you're here because you still love your husband. You want to feel close to him. I would imagine that's one of the things you've been trying to do all this time. Am I correct? You have tried things that made sense to you at the time, things you were told would work. And yet here you are, feeling further from him than ever, wondering if something is wrong with you, wondering if something is wrong with him. But may I say this to you, dear wife, nothing is wrong with you, but something has been done to you. To you? Yes. See, you have been handed a set of tools by culture, by academia, by media, by well-meaning professionals, tools that were sold to you as a path to closeness, right? But every one of those tools has been quietly cutting your husband. And today, I'm going to show you every single one, not to shame you, right? But to, may I say this, free you, to free you. You know, there is a scholar that I really admire his writing, his thinking, to some degree. There's not everything that I agree with him on because we don't share some things in common, but I admire the way he speak about issues that truly resonates with me, right? His name is Gad Saad. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but that's not important. He's an evolutionary psychologist at McGill University. So not a man of faith, and that's where we probably have a differ in that regards, but a man who saw something that people of faith should have caught sooner. Some have, but for the most part, I think it hasn't been trumpeted the way that he has in the way he has written and spoken. And he wrote a book called The Parasitic Mind. I'm not sure if you've ever read it or heard of that book, but in it, he describes ideas, not bacteria, not viruses, ideas that behave exactly like parasites, right? They find a host, they replicate, they spread, and they systematically weaken everything they attach themselves to. That's what parasites do. So what he has inferred in his writing, dear wife, is that these parasitic ideas have found their way into your marriage before you even knew what was happening. And what has happened is that they've come through trusted voices, professors who trained your therapist that you've gone to see, writers who shaped your favorite shows, a cultural movement that told you your greatest act of love was to demand your husband become someone he was never designed to be. And you did not pick these ideas up off the ground, right? They were handed to you. It's almost like it was presented to you in a gift wrapping labeled empowerment, labeled healthy communication, labeled you deserve better. And understandably so, you accepted them in good faith because you loved and love your husband. And you wanted nothing more than to have your marriage become better. Am I correct? Now, that's not a character flaw. That is someone who was deceived by forces far bigger than herself. Now, I want to take 30 seconds to speak to someone else I mentioned in this room, as I mentioned him earlier. So, dear wife, hang in there for a second because I know the statistics, and I know that many of you who watch is like you, dear husband, who's watching right now. And you, as a husband, have found this video. Maybe you're watching alone. Maybe you're hoping your wife will see it, but you are here. And I want you to know I see you. So, what you're about to hear, these 7 cuts, you will recognize, I would say, I would almost say every single one of them because you have felt them, you have bled from them, and you may have never had the words to communicate how that feels for you. But today, you will. So here's my ask of you. Don't watch this in anger. Watch it in hope. Because a wife who finally understands, and maybe your wife, what has been done to your marriage is a wife who can begin to choose something different. So I want you to stay with me. So as I mentioned, dear wife, here are the 7 cuts that culture have handed you. And here's exactly what each one does to the man you're trying to reach. Cut number one, they redefined him, his provider drive as patriarchy. See, your husband was built by God by design to provide, to protect, and to lead. That drive is not toxic. It is sacred. But culture have twisted things and told you that a man who leads or tries to lead is controlling. That a man who provides feels superior and places demand because he's a provider. That's what they have told you. They've told you that his ambition is the thing standing between you and the equal partnership you deserve because you're equal. And so, without realizing it, you began to hear his love language as a threat. When a man's God given purpose is treated as a problem in his own home, he begins to ask the most dangerous question a husband can ask. What am I even here for? That question is the beginning of the fade. Cut number two, they handed you an emotional labor scorecard. So what has happened is culture have taught you to keep a mental record of who did more, who remembered, who tried harder. And so love was turned into an accounting system, right? And they want to make you an accountant of that system. And so your husband is always in a deficit. But dear wife, may I say this? So your husband is not lazy. He's not indifferent. He is exhausted from trying to pass a test whose rules keep changing, not because you want to change them, but it's this constant push for you to do so. So when a man believes he can never win in his own home, what does he do? What have you seen your husband do? I would dare say he stops showing up to the game. Cut number three. They told you his silence was abandonment. And now this one is critical. You were told that emotional health looks like talking about everything, um, processing out loud, sharing every feeling in real time. And when he didn't, you were told to call it withdrawal, right? Avoidance, emotional unavailability, and on these labels have been given to you. But can I say, dear wife, His silence is not abandonment. Ask him. But his silence is him carrying the weight. It is him protecting you from burdens you don't need to carry. It's his love expressed in a language you were never taught to read. And when you interpret his silence as rejection, you pull back, he feels the distance. And so what does he do? Yes, you guess it. He pulled back further. And then you create the very disconnection you are desperately trying to prevent. Cut number four. They gave you an impossible comparison, right? Social media, romance novels, movies, every one of them handed you a fantasy husband, always emotionally available, always saying the right thing at the right time, always romantic on cue. And your real, tired, human, God-given husband who come home from work carrying stress he didn't tell you about can never compete with that friction that you've been presented. So when a man feels like he's in an audition and he's perpetually failing, he stops performing. And then what is now labeled is you call it giving up. I call it a man who has been disqualified by a standard he was never meant to meet. Cut number five. They gave you the language to prosecute him. Trauma response, attachment style, narcissistic behavior, emotional dysregulation. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have used every one of these terms or been exposed to these terms. Correctly applied, they can bring healing. But here's what I have watched happen more often than not in marriages that I have encountered and seen and read about and studied. That language migrated from the therapist's office into the living room, right? And so it has stopped being used to understand and started being used to prosecute. It's weaponized. And a man on trial in his own home will eventually stop showing up to court. Not because he doesn't love you, but because no one can sustain the emotional cost of a verdict that is always guilty. Cut number six. They told you equality meant erasing his leadership, right? So culture told you that a healthy marriage is a perfectly level playing field, that his voice should carry no more weight than yours, that deferring to his leadership, even once, is a surrender of your dignity. And so what happened is that his input gets dismissed, his decisions get second guessed, his leadership gets quietly, consistently undermined. Sometimes in front of your children. Dear wife, do you understand this cut? He doesn't stop leading because he doesn't care. He stops leading because he no longer believes his home wants to be led by him. That is not apathy. That is a wound. Cut number seven. They replaced respect with critique. This, I believe, is the deepest cut. And it is a one Proverbs 14, verse 1 speaks directly to. It says, the wise woman builds her house, but the foolish one tears it down with her own hands. Every sigh, every eye roll, every, well, actually, every correction in front of others, every subtle implication that he is not quite enough, these are not personality quirks. These are bricks removed from the very foundation you are desperately trying to stand on. So, can I say again, dear wife, you're not foolish, but unfortunately, You've been handed a foolish blueprint and it is tearing down your house. I want you to sit with something, dear wife. Everything I just described, these seven cuts, none of them started with malice in your heart, right? As I said before, they started with a desire for closeness, a longing to be seen, a deep God-given need to feel connected to your husband. But the villains, they didn't attack your marriage by making you cruel. They attacked it by misdirecting your love. They took your legitimate hunger for connection and handed you tools, right? That accomplish the exact opposite. And here's the truth that I need for you to hear. You cannot get closer to a man you consistently misinterpret. That is a domino belief because correctly interpreting your husband is not an option. It is the only path back to closeness. Not nagging, not conflict, not waiting for him to change first. Interpretation. The Bible says in Ephesians 5, verse 33, you've heard this before, the wife must respect her husband. You cannot respect what you misread. The marital interpretation lens I'm trying to hand you here is not a self-help shortcut. It is obedience made practical. When you begin to see his silence as carrying, right? As carrying something, not withholding his provision as love, not avoidance, his strength as safety, not control, everything changes. Not because he changed, but because you finally saw him. And when a man feels truly seen by his wife, dear husband, would this be true? When a man feels truly seen by his wife, watch what happens. The fade reverses, the walls come down, the closeness you have been working so hard to manufacture begins to come naturally. This is a power of the one correct interpretation. So, dear wife, if you are ready to trade in the lens the world gave you, I want to help you. I have written something called The Letter Your Husband Wishes He Could Write. Because most husbands, like myself, including the one, just here, who might be sitting even across from you as you're watching this, or, wherever he is at, right? Most husbands cannot say in words what they carry in their hearts. And this letter says it for him. So get it, read it, and if he'll sit with you, read it together or ask him, is this how it is for you? Because the conversation that follows may be the most important one you've ever had in years. So if you want that, the link is in the description below. And if you know another wife who could use this or another couple, please, would you also share this video with them? I would really appreciate that. And if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so even now. God bless you, and I'll see you on the next video.